Well, I want to welcome all of our listeners out there to another podcast of the DC Capstone Report. This week on the podcast, we're going to review the previous game against LSU in Baton Rouge. We're going to look at our players of the game in our second segment. And in our final segment and third and final segment, we'll take a look and preview the upcoming game against Mississippi State University. The DC Capstone Report is featured each Tuesday morning on Tide 102.9, The Morning Blitz with Martin Houston. You can listen live at Tide1029.com. Well, everyone, it's just another great time to come and talk about a dominating performance by the Alabama Crimson Tide. What a game against the LSU Tigers in Baton Rouge. The scene was electric, and LSU was all excited before the game. They were pumped up emotionally. I don't think I've ever seen a more hyped LSU team. They had taken the blueprint of Alabama and brought back all the former LSU players that are in the pros, like Odell Beckham and Darius Geis and Leonard Fournette. All those players were in the crowd in Baton Rouge there. It was just a great, exciting thing for them to have. Unfortunately, that type of excitement didn't bleed over into the field. Alabama came out, and I can just unequivocally say dominated on both sides of the ball, both offense and defense in this game. I believe when you review and look at the statistics of the game, the statistics bear it out. So right up front, you look at the total yards. Alabama had 576 total yards on offense, and they held LSU to 196 total yards on defense. LSU had 13 first downs to Alabama's 29. Rushing the ball, Alabama had 281 rushing yards and 295 passing yards. I mean, what a balanced offensive production. And on defense, Alabama held LSU to 12 yards rushing. That was just a great performance by the Alabama Crimson Tide. Going into this game, in our last week's preview, I said that I felt like LSU would have the edge emotionally, but all that emotion does is it builds you up. And I told everyone, all of our listeners out there, Lance, and I think if you remember, you to go back and listen to last week's podcast, I said I didn't like the talk that was coming out of LSU. There was so much hype, so much smack talk, so much talking. And to me, that gives me an indication when you're talking that much is a team that's talking about not being scared, talking about how we're coming for you and all that hype and talk. It leads me to believe that they were a little scared of Alabama. Wasn't sure that they could match up against Alabama, and I believe it showed on the field. Alabama comes out in takes a business approach to it. No smack talk. Did their talking on the field, and I say something. I think it's what I think Bear Bryant said it first. I'm not the first one to say it, but all that hype and passion is great until you first time you get smacked in the mouth. And I think when you have to line up on the field and you play, you get smacked in the mouth, and that's what happened to LSU in this game. Now, Alabama came out, and it wasn't hitting on all cylinders on offense, it seems like. Tua was a little high with his passes. The crowd definitely affected us on some drives, but Alabama made the adjustments. Some of the things that I saw just it leads me to believe that Alabama's coaching helped them in preparation. Preparation, I believe, outweighs passion. Preparation outweighs hype. And I saw Alabama was prepared in this game. They go downfield. They don't score on their first possession. First time all year they haven't scored on their first possession. Tua throws his first interception, uncharacteristically of him. Alabama making some uncharacteristic penalties on jumping off sides and illegal procedures. Tua gets hurt. Gets hit down below the belt on a play that should have been blown dead, but it's so loud you couldn't hear it. All these things combined for what you would think would be a perfect storm for Alabama. But time after time, Alabama came back and learned from their adversities. Just a highlight that you won't see on the tape, you won't see anywhere. I think a big thing in this game, when Alabama was having so much difficulty with the noise, Tua, Pierce Baker, Williams, all the line, they go to the sidelines. They come up with, hey, we're prepared for this. We practice this with noise. We know what to do. And they immediately change their signals from a hand clap to a silent count. And from the rest of the game, they went on a silent count. From that point forward, there was no more jumping off sides. There was no more illegal procedure penalties. So I think just that little small preparation shows you that Alabama was prepared. They played with emotion, but there was controlled emotion. They were wanting to make a statement. Coach Saban said it after the game. We wanted to make a statement, and they made their statement by their play. Now, just to kind of overview, let's look at the defense. I don't know that if we've played a better defensive game all year. LSU's offense came out wanting to establish the run, and it is true that they did not establish the run, and they could not control our defensive linemen on getting the push up front, or our linebackers on the edge, or our middle linebackers. The up front seven just really handled the game against LSU. Now, LSU had some good linemen, but they just were no match for our defensive linemen. We stuffed the run and shut it down, made them throw the ball. And Joe Burrow just could not pass the ball with any consistency. He made some good throws here and there, got some completed passes, but none. They put no points on the board. Alabama wins the game 29-0. Now on offense, Alabama ran the ball great, had a great balanced offense. I think running the ball in this game was a key to us being able to win. We didn't have as many points in this game, but we ran the ball more and took more time off the clock. And so we had less opportunities, I think, to score in this game as we had in past games. But, I predicted a big score for Alabama to blow them out, 52-19. The margin of 29-0 is still close to the margin there that I predicted. So I think we did blow them out on offense. We played well, scored some great pass plays that Tua just threaded in there, especially the pass to Irv Smith and the touchdown pass to Irv Smith, the touchdown passes that he threw in the game. Henry Ruggs did a great job in the offense before he was taken out of the game with an injury. Najee Harris had some great runs before he was taken off the field with an injury as well. So I don't think any of those injuries, as I've heard right after the game, appeared to be too serious. We'll learn more today when we listen to the Coach Saban speak about what's happened since they've gotten back and had to take a look. But I think the injuries are okay. We'll note that Devonta Smith came in and played some in this game. Don't think he was 100%. He was targeted one time on a pass and it was broken up. I don't believe he was 100%. Jerry Jeudy showed out in this game again. His juking moves, and at one point he juked a LSU defender who was coming full force, and he went by him by about 5 yards. So I think Jerry Jeudy proved it again in this game how good he is. One particular part of this game that I think Alabama didn't get much credit for in the past and should is their offensive line. They tended to run behind the left side on Jonah Williams and Deontay Brown, who gets to start in this game. And we're talking about a tremendous amount of play in this game where Deontay Brown had elevated his play so much and did such a great job. And so I'm just extremely impressed with him and what he's been able to do. So overall, reviewing this game, it was a total domination by Alabama. We have some players of the game we'll talk about in the second segment that really did a good job. But overall, I think just a big team effort, a big team win here. And overall, just in my opinion, the best game that Alabama's put together. Now, one part of the game I will take a little time to talk about was our special teams. We missed 2 extra points in this game. One was not the kicker's fault. One was the fault of the holder in this particular instance. But the kicker did miss the other one. I'm concerned a little bit about our kicking going forward. But that's something that we can work on. It's just repetition and being able to make these plays down the road. So I believe you'll see that happen as we continue to focus on this down the road. In my estimation, hopefully we won't need to worry about the kicking game as we come down, and there'll be a big part of that will help us down the road when we have the opportunity to use them. We hope they can make those kicks, make those holes. And we won't have that problem coming up in these next couple of games that we have. But overall, I think it was a big, impressive win, a dominating performance by the Alabama Crimson Tide. I really believe LSU felt like they were going to go in and take advantage of Alabama and take advantage of the atmosphere, and they were going to roll to victory. But again, I believe they underestimated how good this team is. Alabama comes in, Alabama takes advantage of LSU in every area of the game, and Alabama defeats LSU again, in Baton Rouge, this time 29-0.
You have been listening to the DC Capstone Report. The DC Capstone Report is brought to you each time this week by RollTideBama.com and FreelancePitchers.com.
Well, our second segment today, we're going to highlight a couple of players on 3 players on offense, 3 players on defense that really had big games in the LSU game. On offense, Tua, who can say enough about Tua? He did some great things in this game. I think the crowd noise got the bigger part of him in a couple of plays. He was excited. I think he overthrew some plays. All of that being said, I believe that in everything that was done throughout the game, he did a great job of passing. He got us in the right plays. He knew when to hand the ball off, when to run, when to pass, did the right in the RPOs. So I was very impressed with what he did, and very impressed with what he was able to do as a quarterback. So I think Tua is one of my outstanding players of the game. Coming back after that injury, he got hit below the belt. He said after the game, it was knocked the breath out of him. It hurt him really bad, and got him in a position where he had to just take some time to recover. But coming back after that and knowing where he got hit, knowing how hard that is to play through, I think he did a great job of playing through and being able to manage the rest of the game. So Tua is one of my outstanding players on offense. Before the game, I spoke about our running game and how Damian Harris and Josh Jacobs was going to step up. In our preview, we talked about that, and did they ever? Damian Harris, Josh Jacobs, and Najee Harris stepped up in our running game. Damian Harris, can't say enough about him. They mentioned it on television several times about his fresh legs, how he hasn't run as much this year, but he was able to really run with authority. His cuts were good, his jump cuts were good. I think Damian Harris is one of the outstanding players on offense. Josh Jacobs did a great job running the ball, even ran out of the Wildcat in this game to pick up a crucial first down. Najee Harris comes in and gashes LSU for several big plays. They went out with a high ankle sprain, but I think we'll see him be able to come back for that later on in the next couple of games, be able to play. But those players on offense did a great job. Can't say enough about Deontay Brown elevating his game on offense as well. Came in, they keep running behind him. He is a great run blocker when he pulls, makes the effort that he plays with, the toughness that he plays with. And Jonah Williams on that left side, protection, just his hand placement, his footwork, all of him, all the things that he does to be a skilled player. One day he'll be playing in the NFL, but just the overall offensive standouts, Tua, for his passing and running, the long touchdown run that he had, and knowing when to pass and when to throw the ball. Damian Harris, Josh Jacobs, and Najee Harris running the ball. And then the third component of offensive line running behind Deontay Brown and Jonah Williams make up the outstanding players on offense. Now on defense, I can't say enough about Quinnen Williams. I believe every game that I have talked about on this podcast, I have picked him as one of the players of the game on defense. And this game is no different. You can't ignore the play of Quinnen Williams. When you watch him, he jumps off the TV screen, just jumps off the film as the best defensive player on the field. I mean, on either side of the ball. And, he in this game, he showed up and showed out. There was no way he could be blocked. He was in the backfield on sacks. He was stopping the run for losses, tackles for losses. When he wasn't tackling, he was affecting the quarterback and making him move out of the pocket. So Quinnen Williams, I'm going to make a statement now. We're coming into the 9th game of the season. And Quinnen Williams, in my opinion, is the best defensive player in the nation. I don't see any. I know everybody talks about Ed Oliver, but I'm saying that Quinnen Williams is the best defensive player in the nation. He's a redshirt sophomore, so he's eligible for the draft. I think he's a first-round pick. I wouldn't be surprised if he went in the first top 5 in the NFL right now if he continues playing like he's playing. So Quinnen Williams is one of my defensive players of the game. Mack Wilson is one of my other defensive players of the game. Mack Wilson stepped up in this game big. Mack Wilson called himself out a few games back after we'd had a poor showing against Arkansas. He says he needed to elevate his game. It's time for him to step up, and he has done so. Since that game, he has played lights out. So he had us in the right defensive calls. He was able to affect the quarterback on rushes. He stopped the run. He covered in pass protection, even intercepted the ball late to preserve the shutout. But overall, his swagger, his hitting ability, just the way he carried himself on the field, just shows the confidence that he's gained. And our defense has gotten better and better each week because of Mack Wilson and Dylan Moses playing in the middle. But Mack Wilson being the leader on defense has caused that alpha dog, I believe, to emerge that Coach Saban was looking for. And I don't think Mack Wilson is disappointing Coach Saban in that role. The third person I'm going to pick on defense is didn't you see him do much in the game, but I think he was a big factor in slowing down LSU's passing attack, and that is Deontay Thompson. I talked about him being a factor in this game, and his presence was known. Savion Smith got targeted on the outside. Patrick Surtain got targeted on the other side, thrown at the bunch with those wide athletic receivers. But very little time did you see them go over the middle deep and challenge our safeties. And the reason for that is Deontay Thompson, his wide range, his long arms, his ability to run down balls. I don't think they were comfortable in throwing over the middle for long passes as they did as LSU was able to do against Auburn and Georgia, because I believe they didn't want to throw into coverage where Deontay Thompson was playing. He made himself known in this game, not by his flashy play, but by being there in the middle as a ball-hawking safety. So I think he is one of my players of the game because of what he brought into this game. The one time they did throw in the middle, and Mack Wilson had dropped back into coverage, and they intercepted that ball in the end zone. He and Deontay Thompson was in the same area. So I think Deontay Thompson's presence as a safety looms well for our defense going forward when these quarterbacks don't want to throw deep over the middle. So there's my offensive and defensive players of the game. You got Tua on Damian Harris, Josh Jacobs, Najee Harris, then Deontay Brown and Jonah Williams on offense. Then on defense, Quinion Williams. I don't think there's anyone better in the country than him. You got Mack Wilson and Deontay Thompson. Well, we come to our third and final segment. We're going to preview the next game. Alabama's still undefeated, playing well, playing great on the road at Baton Rouge, a big, emotional, hyped-up game where you want to make a statement. Coming back home, there's an opportunity for a letdown, opportunity for a trap game. And many have said this game against Mississippi State University could be a trap game. Mississippi State has one of the best defenses in the Southeastern Conference, the best defenses in the nation. They have two great players on defense. And Sweat and Simmons, they put themselves in position to play. They got a great middle linebacker. They've got great players in the secondary. They love to cover. They're tops in the league in rushing. They're tops in the league in pass defense. They're tops in the nation in pass defense, in the top 20. So this is going to be a formidable opponent coming in. Now, on offense, I believe they're a little bit one-dimensional. I think their quarterback can beat you with his legs. I think they can beat you with their running game. I'm not so sure he can beat us with his arm. Now, he could prove me wrong, and I think they will try to do that downfield. But in this game, I look at with the potential there for a letdown. Alabama has the rest of the season on the line. They've already clinched for the SEC championship game. They're a shoe-in for the Final Four if they keep winning. There's a potential letdown here. But I think Alabama has always been prepared. And although I think it's a potential for a letdown, I think Alabama overcomes it in this game with preparation. I think Coach Saban gives them the 24-hour rule. They celebrate that victory at LSU. But there's enough they did wrong in that game for Coach Saban to talk about it, enough they didn't do right for him to talk about those, to learn from those mistakes, to come in here with a Mississippi State team who wants to beat Alabama. To make their season this year, they need to beat Alabama because of the losses they have. They don't have a chance to win the SEC, and they want to catch Alabama down. I believe Alabama's fan base is important in this game. I believe we need to all show up. I need to be loud and affect the team, Mississippi State, as they play. I think Alabama comes out in this game. I believe they're going to dominate again on defense. I think Quinion Williams has a big game. I believe him being able to his lateral speed and speed at the middle, and using our defensive ends to try to keep their quarterback in the pocket and running from the middle. I believe there will be opportunities for Quinion Williams and our middle linebackers to make a lot of plays in this game. If we can shut down their quarterback running the ball, I think it's a long day for Mississippi State. If they have some success running the ball, then I think that'll open up their passing game a little bit over the middle because we have to bring up our safeties to help. Up until this game, we've not had to bring our safeties up to help in the run support. Our front seven has been able to handle it pretty well. So If we have to bring our safeties up, then they may have a problem in this game. But I don't expect that. I expect Alabama on defense to come out and dominate again. And I wouldn't be surprised if Mississippi State scores on us, just because they have an explosive running game that can break a big one here and there. But then again, I wouldn't be surprised if Alabama shut them out based on how good our defense is playing. If we're prepared, as I think we'll be, and we're ready to play this game, I think Alabama wins it handily. On offense, I think we can expect a lot of pressure from defense. But I believe our offensive line is up for the test in this game, and it'll be the best defensive line probably we've seen since this year. Maybe LSU and Mississippi State are on par for the best defensive lines, best use of linebackers, best secondary. But I think our receivers against their secondary, I think we have the edge. I think we have the edge on quarterback, and I think we have the edge on line. You know, they're going to say how great the Mississippi State's line is. I don't believe they've seen an offensive line like ours this year, so I believe we'll be able to protect Tua, give him a chance to throw the ball, and I believe we win this game handily. So I think we need to show up and support the team to just kind of know that there's potential for a letdown, be there to support them and cheer them on. But I believe in the end, Mississippi State comes into Bryant-Denny Stadium with an idea they're going to upset Alabama, but Alabama's prepared, and then they beat Mississippi State Bulldogs 42-17.
You have been listening to the DC Capstone Report. The DC Capstone Report is brought to you each time this week by RollTideBama.com and FreelancePictures.com. Be sure to go online and check us out on DCCapstoneReport.com for future updates.